Hello dear kids, welcome to activity number 2 tutorial. I am here now on the spelling book 1. You need to review lessons 1 to 5, page 9. So for today's activity, we'll be working on spelling and context. We'll be using the words that we learned, the words from this list. Remember the words with the long sound E. So before we start, remember that it's very important to look for context clues when we are working on activities like these ones in which you have to look for the missing word. So let's start now. First in flight. Harriet Kimber was a writer, photographer, and pilot. She became famous for flying an airplane when driving an automobile was still new and exciting. She had a dashing figure in her purple satin flying costume with a hood rather than a helmet. Kimber was born in 1875 in Michigan. While still a young woman, she moved with her family to California. She wanted to be an artist. By 1900, however, Kimber was a successful newspaper writer. Although she did not hold any high school or college. What do you think is the missing word here? Remember, we need to look for context clue. So let's have a look within the sentence. Although she did not hold any high school or college. What is something that is related to a school or college? Look at in the words. Degrees? Yes. So we are going to select the text box, wait until this toolbar appears, and then click on what you want it to write down. Degrees. So let's moving on. She had developed an intelligent writing style. She wrote about art and city life. She began to more and more attention for her writing. So let's look for context clues here. She began to more and more attention. So what do you do with people's attentions? You get people's attentions, you receive people's attentions, right? So more and more attention will be the context clues. Receive is the missing word. She began to receive more and more attention for her writing. One of writing that attracted attention was an article about the costumes in a section of San Francisco called Chinatown. Let's have a look. So we have writing, we have attracted attention, and we have article. Have a look. Think about that. Writing and article. So when we're talking about writing, when we're talking about authors or writers writing or articles, we always refer to a piece of writing, right? So there are some writers that write books, and there are some other writers that write just articles. So we call these articles a piece of writing. So piece will be our next missing word. Number 3. Piece. Let's have a look at number 4. The article helped readers' interest in an appreciation for the people of Chinatown. So we have readers' interest in an appreciation for the peoples of Chinatown. Helped readers' interest. So when we're working to get readers' interest, so the article helped increase. Increase will be our missing word here. To make it greater, right? To make it greater in number. Let's move on to number 5. Kimby moved to New York, where she wrote on magazine articles. Some of her articles, such as those about household tips and how to find a job, were up to the point. Others were longer features about her travels in foreign countries. So, within the sentence, we have to the point, and then we have any other sentence in the next clause, other with longer. So here we have longer, which is the difference between our first sentence, right? So we can use longer and look for synonym, which is shorter. So find out in the spelling list words a word that means shorter or to the point. So are you thinking the word I'm thinking? Yes. Brief. Remember, the brief means to make something shorter, right? Or to say something in a few words. Let's move on. By 1910, Kimby had developed a strong interest in high-speed automobiles. She had bought a car and had written articles on auto repair. Then, after attending an airplane show, she decided to take flight lessons. Learning to fly is like learning to play a flute or she reasoned. It takes lots and lots of practice. So let's have a look to context clues within the same sentence. Learning to fly is like learning to play a flute, or a very easy one. So we have a context clues to play and flute. So flute is another musical instrument, so piano will be our missing word, as piano is another musical instrument, right? Let's move on to number 7. For 5 weeks, Kimby worked hard. She knew it was important to each step, such as taking off and landing, again and again to make sure she had mastered it. Each step, such as taking off and landing again and again. So let's find out for context clues. Again and again, that can be my context clues. Yes. And we can also use sure she has mastered it. So we need some practice. And when you need some practice, you need to repeat. So repeat will be our next word. Repeat. Let's move on to number 8. Kimby learned how to fly in all kinds of weather and could safely land in a light as well as a strong wind. So here I think we have more than one clue, which is very interesting. We have weather, we have cloud, light, and strong wind. So think about a word in our word list that is related to this group of words. Weather, cloud, light, and strong wind. So are you thinking what I'm thinking? What is our missing word? Breeze. Yes, breeze. As well as a strong wind. Let's move on to number 9. To earn her license, she landed her own plane within an 8-foot or 2 area marked by officials. In 1911, she was the first woman in the United States with a pilot's license. So what do you think is a missing word? Very easy one. Think about the answer. Think about context clues. 8 foot or 2 meters. So let's move on to number 10. So in the early age of flying, pilots dreamed of crossing the English Channel. A male pilot had already done so, even though the trip was considered dangerous. So let's have a look here if we can find some context clues. So in cases like this one, for example, in which it's difficult to look for context clues within the sentence, we need to look at the whole context, the whole article context, right? So a male pilot has already done so, even though the trip was considered extremely dangerous. So extremely will be our missing word here in number 10. Let's have a look at number 11. Kimby wanted to be the first woman to at this flight. Again, if it's difficult for us to look for context clues within the same sentence, we need to look at the context, the whole context, right, of the article. So, Kimby wanted to be the first woman to complete at this flight. To complete? Does that make sense? What do you think about that? What can be another word? Succeed. So Kimby wanted to be the first woman to succeed at this flight. As she was the first woman trying this, she wanted to succeed. Let's move on to number 12. The historic flight began at Dover, England. Try to picture that day. So here the author is giving us a context clue. He's telling us where the flight began, at Dover, England, right? So it's a setting. So we need to picture another word for setting. Remember we learned is scene. So try to picture the scene. Try to picture the place. Try to picture the setting that day. Let's move on to number 13. Everyone was busy. Kimby's assistants carefully measured for her fuel tank. Every counted. So let's have a look for context clues. I think this one is very easy. Full tank. What do you think is the missing word for number 13? Gasoline. Gasoline. What do you usually measure? Right? And then every, we start talking about the same subject. Liter counted. Liter. So every liter counted. Let's move on to number 15 and 16. Kimby took off very early in the morning. Low clouds created a dense cover. Or, above the earth. Kimby's heart was pounding. She was quickly. So here we have clouds, dense cover, and above. Right? So we can use this as a context clues. Above, clouds, and cover. Dense cover. So we're talking about things that we may see in the sky, right? Above, what do you think about the missing word? Ceiling, right? The ceiling will be a missing word. Ceiling above. Remember the ceiling is what we looked above a room. Then let's move on to number 16. Kimby's heart was pounding. She was quickly. So in a sentence like this one, right, when it's difficult to look for context clue, we can look for related words, right? And for example, pounding. We are using an ing ending word here, pounding. we're using a gerund, so we can think of using another gerund to complete the missing word. She was breathing quickly. Breathing quickly. Text here, we're going to put it. Breathing. She knew, though, that she could the trip. She knew, though, that she could complete the trip. Complete will be our missing word here on number 17. At last, the plane touched down in France. The people cheered. Kimby was the main at her own celebration rally. She was a very tired but a happy woman. She later wrote. Right? So let's look for context clues. Kimby was the main at her own celebration rally. She was the main speaker, right? Because everyone wanted to hear about her experience. Harriet Kimby was a pioneer in the history of flight. Her will live on. If you'd like to learn more, you can find books about her at your local. Very easy, we have these two very easy. So for the first sentence, live on, live forever. Think of a word that is related to live on or live forever in the word list. Memory. Very good. Her memory will live on. Will be forever. Will be remembered. And the last one, 20, which is the easiest one ever, because we have 1, 2, and probably 3 context clues. So if you like to learn more, you can find books. Books is our context clue, our main context clue about her at your local. What do you think is the missing word? Library. So that's it for today's activity number 2, spelling and context. So I hope this tutorial is helpful for you guys. Don't forget to work on your books. On your spelling book 1, you need to review lessons 1 to 5. And I'll see you in our next tutorial. Bye guys. Take care.